Right, hello and welcome to episode 4 of No Holds Barred. That's Sal.
Hiya.
And I'm Don. And together we're going to take a weekly look at all things political, social, and anything else we can think of, really. No Holds Barred. Welcome to episode 4. Things are moving upwards. We're starting to find our feet. Last week's episode numbers, we are measured in the hundreds now, which is very exciting.
Madness.
I know. We're going up. Thanks to all of you for listening, watching, or both. If you do see us, share it if you want, because that would be lovely. And we'd still love you to send in your own contributions. Write just rants if you like. Send us a short video, send us a voice note, send us a text, an email, carrier pigeon, whatever you think of. Just send it in and we'll be we'll feature it on the podcast and we'll have a chat about it. All the contact details will be in the show notes. They're on my Twitter page. DMs are open. You can get hold of us really easily. Don't just have a look. You'll find us. So, right, let's get on with the show. So,
can I open the show by congratulating you for being incredibly fabulous? And not only getting a shout out on The Troll this week, a podcast that we're both very fond of,
absolutely.
but also being congratulated by the bear,
who yes.
I frankly hold in incredibly high esteem because he has a patience of Job. His replies to people and his responses and his meticulous way of explaining things are saintly to me.
Absolutely.
So I'm absolutely and stupendously impressed with that. So well done, you.
Shout out to the bear. Thank you for giving us a mention yesterday on your page because I'm the same. So big fans. Cheers for that, and cheers to Marina and Gemma for mentioning my Nigel Farage tweet on the Troll this week as featured in. I did ask them if I could put that in our promo material, but they never replied to me. So I'll take it as a yes and use it anyway. See what happens.
They're busy ladies.
I'm sure they are. Yeah, definitely. So that's cool. Yeah, thanks everyone for all your positive feedback and comments because it means a lot.
Yeah, it does.
It does. So, do you want to start with your main subject of the week?
Oh, I was hoping you'd start because this is just terrible. But let's get it out of the way and then I can cheer up because I think I mentioned last week, went to see my MP on Friday.
Yeah.
I both wanted to discuss the Green Paper about the benefit cuts and my own personal situation where I find myself between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah.
My invisible various illnesses give me a very poor quality of life. Most of them are degenerative and cannot be fixed, but the one thing that can be fixed is my jaw and my mouth.
Yeah.
But because I have come about my jaw issues not through cancer or catastrophic accident, the NHS will not fund surgery for me, even though it's entirely mechanical and it's stopping me sleeping and eating, and it has done for over a decade, which is a massive problem in the long term, and it creates lots of other problems. So I went to my MP and I presented myself and I explained to her categorically how and why I find myself here, how, I want to work. I do not want to be stuck on benefits. For the longest time, I thought I would never be able to work again. And then I figured out my illnesses for myself and realized that there's a lot of room for improvement with things that can be improved.
Yeah.
And I want to do that because, that's what people do. They want to be productive and healthy and part of society, contrary to what most people on the right would have you believe.
Yeah.
Although, turns out this isn't a right-left issue. This is a arsehole, not an arsehole issue.
Non-partisan arseholes.
And she essentially sat there wringing her hands. I mean, notwithstanding she's 78, she's been a sitting MP for 10 years. This town has not got any better in 10 years. It has done that. It's a former mining town, former glassmaking town that obviously there is now no coal mining to speak of, and we have very little in the glass industry, certainly in this town.
Yeah.
So it has not fared well over the years. And from what I've seen on the sidelines as a resident, she's not done an awful lot to change any of that. She's very rarely to be seen in the House of Commons, certainly. And she essentially sat there. She actually said to me, I wouldn't even know who to ask.
Yikes.
And I'm sitting there going, and my anxiety was really bad because that's how anxiety works. You know, I'm in the eye of the storm, and I'm now facing. It's a bit like the car's completely broken down, and I know it's broken down, but I haven't had the mechanic's assessment yet. Do you know what I mean? And this was like talking to the mechanic, and the mechanic's going, "Oh, I don't know what to do. You're on 93 grand a year, woman. I don't know who to ask." Isn't an actual response that is valid for somebody in your position. Somebody, and some friend of mine sent me her expenses for the last 2 years. Just last year, her expenses totaled 240 grand.
Wow.
And she's been an MP for 10 years. You don't know anybody in or aligned with the NHS that you could seek advice from on my behalf. Is that really what you're telling me?
That's insane.
I used to be a PA. That's not an acceptable answer to anybody.
No, it's not.
You go and you figure it out.
Yeah.
And I'm just, but I get bamboozled very easily by people who I can't comprehend their lack of ability to think. That's probably not worded very well, but I wish I'd had someone with me, because I was just sat there like, I've got to keep my powder dry, so I can't, unravel on her. And I genuinely don't know how to sit here and converse with this woman who's just like a lump of jelly.
Yeah.
Who clearly, when we got to talking about the green paper, that was it. I actually opened by saying to her, how has this government been reported on by the UN for so long, and nobody's paying attention to it?
Yeah. And her response?
And her response was, the UK government basically don't recognise the UN authority. That was the long and the short of what she said.
Whoa.
The UK government is an autonomous. I can't remember the wording she used, but it was like she didn't really understand it herself.
Yeah.
The UK government is an autonomous government. Was basically what she said, and I'm like,
she's disavowing it.
We're a member of the UN. So that was the first bamboozle straight out the bloody gate.
Yeah.
And she lied to my face. She told me that none of the benefit changes would come into effect until 2029.
Right.
Now that's factually untrue, and I knew it was at the time, but I always second guess myself. And I came home and I checked it, and if the measures go through, any changes to my PIP will occur at my next assessment, which is 2027. For the moment, I mean, they're in the year's backlog at the minute, so who knows when it'll happen or how it'll happen or what'll happen. So it was startlingly terrifying, and she said, she said the benefits bill's growing year on year, and I went, no, I'm not having that. I said, that's just a lie. I said, and we know this because the UK is right at the bottom of the 20 most developed countries on the planet for paying disability benefits. So 19 other countries pay a lot more towards their disabled and sick people than the UK do. So that doesn't translate, does it? That's a lie. And she sat there just like a guppy fish. And I said, at the end of the day, in the history of man, poverty has never made anybody better, but it has definitely. And she interrupted me then and she went, we know it's always made people ill. I said, exactly. So how's that going to affect the NHS and the costs of the NHS?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, there are some MPs that, we are trying to help, but, and I just thought, Ian Byrne, love, Ian Byrne would sit there and tell me he disagrees with everything that's going on. John McDonnell, Zara Sultana.
Yeah.
What are you? Apart from somebody who's just eyeing retirement. Why she's still there? Must be about that.
Wow, if she's claiming
But I
nearly
just,
£250,000 on expenses in a year, that's yeah.
in the end, I didn't know where to put myself. And all she kept saying, the patronizing way she kept saying, I'm very concerned about your mental health. I'm literally sitting here explaining to you why my mental health is stuck in a bad place. And you're telling me you don't know what to do or who to speak to. What do you want me to do? You can't medicate people out of not being allowed surgery.
No.
And I can't, even now sitting here explaining it to you and everybody else who hopefully will listen, all I was sat there with was the overwhelming, catastrophic realization that this is why we're where we are, because our country is run by people like this, who are devoid of life experience. They are devoid of knowledge. My God, the ignorance. It's just incredible. We need to do, I mean, we know the system's broken. Capitalism is broken. It is saturated. But at a local level, and this will lead on to what you're going to talk about, the locals in a minute. We need to make local government something that attracts educated people.
Yeah.
And the fact that it doesn't, it attracts grifters, a lot of grifters, even, going back to when my dad used to be the mayor's secretary.
Right.
And he'd come in talking about councillors all the time and how but I mean, Joe Anderson was one in his day, but it's got to stop. At some point, we've just got to say no. We need to bring grown-ups into the room and get away with people who are just eyeing a big hefty pension.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, isn't it? It was always levelled at the Tories, that accusation, but it's not a party by party thing. Yeah, exactly.
No.
It's a cross party line, that one, definitely. And there's what, 650 MPs in Parliament, and active MPs that actually do their job properly. What, you could count on both hands, I would guess.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, to be fair, I don't think she's in a minority, which is why I think it's the problem. But I wanted to go and see her face to face, because the amount of people I've seen that have had automated responses to write into their MPs, I'd have been butt in a wall with rage if I'd have had one of them from her. So I had to go and experience it. But I just came back absolutely crucified. I don't know where else to turn or who else to ask. And part of the problem is, even if I could raise the money for my surgery privately, I'm only allowed to raise up to £6,000 when my benefits start getting affected.
Oh shit! Really?
Which is why I'm between a rock and a hard place. Yeah. So, and I'll maybe talk about it a bit later. But I watched the Work and Pensions Committee and the Diane Abbott debate about the benefit cuts. And the phrase du jour seems to be deaths of despair. And I am so glad to hear that, because it validates everything I've been through for over a decade. And it is absolute fucking despair.
Yeah. I don't know what to say. It is, despair is the word. I mean, I'm kind of listening to you week on week tell me. I said exactly the same thing last week. Everything you tell me every week, which is slightly different and new, is astounding. It's just, what the fucking hell is going on here? And then to the people that are running the country and supposed to help, be there for us to go to for help, and they're not. They can't. They just don't know what they're doing.
I mean, I'll be quite honest with you. That part of, all of what I'm doing, sort of Twitter and this with you, and I'm doing it in absolute terror, because that drawbridge is coming up, and I do not think that the disabled are going to get treated any better anytime soon, and it terrifies me. People are dying every single day.
Yeah.
Any of the tell you now, like anyone's going to listen to it, but any MP out there who wants to vote through these cuts to disability benefits to save what is effectively peanuts in the grand scheme of things is signing the death warrants of thousands of people.
Yeah.
And they are destroying the lives of children who are going to watch their parents experience this despair. And it is absolutely criminal. You have to be a sociopath to do this, or extremely ignorant. Either way, you are a terrible, terrible person, because you already know these people are going to die, and you are saying that that's okay with you in favor of big business tax breaks. It's repulsive and subhuman.
Yeah.
Now let's change the subject, because I've had enough.
I couldn't agree more. And let's keep talking about it. That's all we can do.
Yeah, it is.
We'll keep talking about it. Our reach is growing a little bit. We've got a few people that might be interested in things, and we'll keep pushing it to everyone we can possibly push it to. That's all you can do. So
yeah,
seems like the MPs aren't going to do their job, so let's try and stick up and do their job for them.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Grim again, but let's change the subject if you want.
Although one good thing that has happened since I last saw you, and it, much as I love a laugh, I'm not very good at inventing jokes, but I did invent one this week.
Oh yeah, I've been waiting for this.
Brace yourself.
Tell me, so let's go for it.
You might have to put a drum roll in afterwards, because it is.
I can do that.
I think it's superb, especially for me, because it contains no swears.
Okay.
I know.
Okay, drum roll.
Okay, hang on, I've just got to remember it now. Oh God, I've forgotten the first line. I can only remember the punchline. That's so terrible.
Oh no, you've built it up so much and now it's gone.
Oh, I might be about to screw up my own joke. Why are Reform UK supporters so terrible at spelling?
I know, tell me.
Because they don't know their R's from their elbows. Not gonna lie, it's probably quite a specific Twitter joke.
No, it worked.
But
it's very funny. I like it.
I'm quite proud of that one. Yeah. So,
very good.
No, come on. Tell us about Reform this week.
Oh wow, where do we start? Local elections, I guess. Last week when we were recording, local elections were happening as we were recording. This is the first time I've got a chance to have a look at it. On Friday, when all the results came through, as they were coming through, it appeared to me, if you were looking on social media, that Reform had won the general election, the World Cup, the Rugby World Cup, the Ryder Cup, all rolled into one. Like, they'd won everything. They were suddenly, Nigel Farage was king of the world. If you were looking on social media, that's how it came across. Rather than winning, let me just get it right.
I'll come back to that king of the world comment, actually, because I noticed something else this week. Go on.
Yeah, rather than winning 807 seats. So I did a quick look. The total number of council seats in England available, 19,228. So Reform now have a whopping 807 of that 19,228, which is about 3.4% of all local council seats. At time of recording, they've already lost 3 councillors since last Thursday.
4, isn't it?
Is it 4 now?
I think it's 4 now.
They're losing them quicker than they can stick them in. And
even I thought it'd take a few months.
Yeah, it's happening quite quickly. One in particular, I can't remember her name, resigned within a day because she said she was only lending her vote to Reform. So she became an independent councillor, then got sacked from Reform, and then she spent the whole weekend slagging Reform off on Twitter. And yeah, she says
they're a cult.
Yes, that's right. Oh, that's
now,
right.
We could have told her that before she bothered her ass.
I did put a tweet out yesterday saying the lady that joined the leopards eating face party is absolutely stunned that the leopards have actually eaten her face. Yeah, exactly. I said, we've been saying it's a cult for years, but no, you weren't listening. So, yeah,
Oh.
I mean, no, duh, really. It's a cult. Of course, it's a bloody cult. Someone on Twitter actually asked me to have a look at some stuff this week, Steve. I haven't had a chance, but I will do next week. It's to do with their model, their business model. And he's...
Oh, well,
go on.
No, that's the King of the World comment. Is that what you're going to talk about, the Zai Yusuf stuff?
Kind of.
Because all I noticed, I read the article about how him and Nige have basically got unlimited powers of this company that they own.
Reform 2025, yeah.
And when you look at it on paper, they're like, and I don't even want to say Pound Shop or Temu, but because it's more like toddlers make believe in the lounge at home version of Musk and Trump.
Yeah.
Zai Yusuf donated £200,000, and now Nigel Farage has taken him on as a wingman with unlimited powers. Who does that sound like?
No, I know. It's pretty similar, isn't it?
But I mean, I still don't know why we're all taking them so seriously. They're literally already, the dominoes have started falling.
Well, this is, I mean, I keep getting accused online of being obsessed and, they live rent-free in your head. Sorry, I'm just trying to find the charger for my microphone. But, it's the usual, they live rent-free in your head. You're obsessed. But for good reason, really, because, the insane amount of coverage they get in relation to their sort of minute like level of MPs and also local council seats. Yeah, they've won 2 mayoralships. Yeah, fine, that was okay. They won that last week. 2 out of 6. They thought they were going to win all of them, obviously, but they didn't. And then today, Isabel. What's the second name?
Oakshott.
Yeah, that's the name. Isabel Oakshott was replying to me today about reform and how Nigel Farage is so hardworking and that's why it's all translating. I put a post out yesterday because I was listening to the radio in the morning on LBC and on Nick Ferrari, as is almost every single day now on LBC, Farage was on talking about the Indian trade deal, and he was spreading the lies about the national insurance arrangements. So they had on Johnny Reynolds, and he explained quite clearly that this is a standard deal, the same we've got with the US and the EU and 50 other countries, basically. So this is not a new thing, even though you wouldn't think it from social media. But the next thing he said was, we'll get Nigel Farage on and get his views, because they have to frame everything through Nigel Farage. And Nigel Farage came on and he did his usual and he lied and he said, well, this will make it undercut British workers. And he put out his lies, and Ferrari just batted his eyelashes at him as he always does. And, oh, well done. Thanks for coming on, Nigel. But I noticed at the same time, the very exact same time that Nigel Farage was on LBC, Richard Tice was on Talk TV saying the same stuff. Oh, yeah. So the pair of them are on media at the exact same time. It's like a 2-pronged approach. Like, this can't be right. And so I just put a little tweet out about it, about, I wish Ofcom actually had some teeth and were able to force some sense of balance. Alistair Campbell retweeted it this morning, so it's now got a lot of traction. You are having a good week, bloody hell. Yeah, well done, you. I know, I've got a few bits going on social media this week. Yeah, but so Alistair Campbell retweeted it, and so now it's on like hundreds of thousands, but it just doesn't make any sense to me. How? And this was the tweet that Isabel Oakshott replied to and said, well, it's because Nigel Farage is working so hard. He's so diligent. And I said, manipulative. I said he might work hard at one of his other 10 jobs, but he's certainly not working hard as an MP. And he's been to Clacton twice in a year. I don't know. I thought they had to have weekly surgeries. Well, they're supposed to, aren't they? There was a really funny suggestion as well, rather than a rule. Yeah, it was last year after he got elected, and a few months after, and he hadn't been to Clacton. He'd not held the surgery, and I'd said something about it. And someone sent me a DM rather than reply to me on Twitter and said, "You have to know, if you're a resident, that Nigel holds secret meetings down near the beach every week for his constituents." That's like,
Yeah, that sounds likely.
no, he doesn't. Not being ridiculous, but like, there is this. It's a cult, like that woman said. You know, these people are fully brainwashed.
Oh,
And
the MAGA.
yeah, it's that level. It's the same thing. It is the same thing. And I did offer for people to come on, or you know, send me some questions on from the reform side of things if they were willing to, and we discuss it fairly. I put out a post this morning because I got an awful lot of bot responses. Didn't get a single reply to that one though. Nobody wanted to send me anything. So, you know, kind of tells you a lot, really, that there's thousands of fake.
It has to be client journalism or not.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. Don't even decide to go against the emperor, king of the world, Nigel Farage. But so yeah,
such a nonsense.
It is, and especially when, as I said, like, you know, yeah, they did make a dent in the local elections. There's, no one's denying that.
Yeah, but immediately they made a dent in the local elections. They denounced every flag that wasn't the Union Jack or the bloody England flag. Oh, really? Okay, so we're going to insult all visiting foreign dignitaries, are we, by ignoring protocol that's been happening since time immemorial, you utter imbeciles.
I know.
And then Jenkins comes out, doesn't she? I'm going to get rid of all the diversity officers. There are none. You melon.
I know. It's a good thing, I think, that they've got
so soon.
But they've got some people that have to be held accountable now. Like, because in local government particularly, you can't, well, from your tale earlier, maybe, but I think they've got to be held up now. And Jenkins, particularly, the mayor, saying she's going to get rid of DEI workers when there wasn't any. Then she was on Channel 4 News being interviewed a couple of days ago. I don't know if you saw it. And she was asked about her comment about putting asylum seekers in tents, and she literally just walked off. She just turned around and walked away. She can't.
She's nuts.
Yes, she is. But they've got no answers for these things, and every time they're asked a difficult question, they just walk off, or as Farage does, shouts boring and walks off. You know, they haven't got anything at all.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, because things might have changed since I was a kid, but I grew up with mayors.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think, but all they did back then was go to events and be the local dignitary.
Yeah.
And I know that because when there were childless mayors, me and my brother got roped in for like all the like kiddie type event things.
Yeah.
What else do mayors do?
Well, I think those types of mayors, they're like the ceremonial mayors, aren't they? Like my friend Tim, his mum was the mayor of Leeds at one point, and she did all that opening of stuff, and but now they've got these devolved mayors, metro mayors, effectively, which are supposed to, like Andy Burnham and people like that, who are supposed to have more power and get involved. Is that what
she is? She's not a metro mayor, though, is she?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, fuck, that's terrible.
Well, she's actually got some sway in the council now, so yeah, she is a metro mayor for Lincolnshire. I had to think there for a minute, but yeah, it's
pro-solar, anti-solar, pro-solar, anti-solar. Depends what day and who I've spoken to.
Yeah, absolutely. She came out with that this week again as well. She's like, she was a liability in Boris Johnson's government, and now she's a liability within Reform, and she'll just the gift that keeps on giving, really, for people like us who want to talk about her. So, thanks, Andrea. But she's not. I don't like saying this about people, but she's not super bright, and I think that comes across with her sometimes. And
I mean, she must have a manipulative streak in her because, like you say, she's not the full shilling at all. But she really does believe that she is, which is, it's an anathema to me, that. But
She said on the interview that she walked out on the other day, she said she was neurodiverse, which I'd never heard her say before. Have you?
she's sociopathic,
Yeah.
which does count. Yeah, she absolutely.
Huh.
They're all neurodiverse, just not in a good way, in a predatory way.
Technically, I suppose. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, but she said it about 4 times in this interview, and I'd never heard her say that before. So
Well, that was her whole excuse for not moving to Lincolnshire, wasn't it? That she's got a kid who's got SEND, and she didn't want to disrupt their education or something by moving to Lincolnshire. Well, do you know what? Maybe just don't become mayor then, because sometimes you can't have it both ways.
Well, exactly. You're employed to do a job, but she didn't. Didn't she say she promised she'd move to mayor if she moved to Lincolnshire if she won the mayoralship? I thought she said that she would, but I don't know. We'll see. She won't, I'm sure.
I don't know. Maybe she'll just stop over at Lincoln's glory hole every now and again.
As
Never
I said,
not funny.
She's the gift that keeps on giving, Andrea Jenkins. So more the merrier. Keep it coming, Andrea. We're here for it. But it just going back to the local elections, it was insane. It was just mental how the saturation, and BBC, Sky, everybody were all over reform. Oh my God, this is like the biggest thing that's ever happened in politics. It's just like we'd won World War II again. Like
I know, it was nuts.
Churchill. Like it was just mental. I can't. But they've still only got 5 MPs. You know, they had 5. They lost 1. They're back to 5. They've got 3.4 of all council seats. It's not deserved. It's just not deserved.
No, but that will, that will work itself out, won't it?
Well, it's probably lower than 3.4% now, as we said. They've lost 4 in 4 days or whatever it is. So,
and we don't yet know how many of them are pure paper candidates, because Darren Grimes' brother and mother both stood, which is incredibly interesting.
Yeah.
And his mother, with her 26 followers on Twitter, had to close her account.
Oh, did she? Oh dear.
But you reap what you sow, don't you? So
yeah, for sure.
We'll see how that goes.
One of their candidates is this the 4th one that I maybe missed or sort of half read this morning, that he's actually employed by the RAF, and
I didn't know what his job was, but I did see that he wasn't allowed to stand for reform because of his job.
Yeah, he's
had to go independent.
Yeah. Well, no, he's had to step away from being a councillor.
He's gone independent.
No,
he's gone independent. Yeah.
Right. Okay. But yeah, so because he's an RAF member. So.
Sorry, they're getting very excited about the new old man being elected.
Yeah, I've got it on in the back. Well, not in the background, in the foreground as well. It's like I don't know. It is like the World Cup. A lot of Brazilian flags.
Baffling. Utterly baffling.
People got very excited about this conclave thing. Yeah, there's loads of people there in St. Peter's Square, isn't there?
Are we? There's one thing that I'd forgotten to mention. Have we done with the deformers?
I think so.
Anything left to say?
No, not really. I think the only thing is I'm gonna write another. I'm doing some data on their media coverage again, which will be ready to look at tomorrow. I'm just looking through, which I've done month on month since January on
that'll be interesting.
Well, that's the one I wrote up in Byline Times in February. So I've been keeping it up a month on month because I want to see like the insane leap that's taken place in the last week, and I'm pretty sure it'll come out in the graphs. So we'll get that out tomorrow. But other than that, we don't need to go on about reform as well as everybody else on the entire planet as much as that. So.
Yeah, there was something interesting happened this week that Zach Polanski has come out and is going for leader of the Greens. It has been framed like he's trying to take Carla Denyer down, when in actual fact the leader is up for election this year anyway, regardless, because that's what the Greens do. They keep it in circulation so that one person doesn't get to keep hold of power, like sensible people.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting because he seems to be sort of from his value set very similar to Corbyn. But the only thing the press have got on him is that he wants you
I know what's coming. But please tell everybody what happened.
He used to work as a stage hypnotist. Oh no, sorry, he wasn't a stage hypnotist. He was a legit, quote unquote, legitimate hypnotherapist who had a practice in Harley Street. And he genuinely was in a paper at one point claiming he could hypnotize women's tits bigger. Now,
I knew what was coming, and it's still funny, but yeah, I know it's bizarre.
I'm all for trial and error, but fucking hell. But
right.
in the year 2025 of our fraud, if that's all they've got on him, he's borderline saint.
Yeah.
So, what are the press? I fear for him.
Well, I think from what I know of him and what I've seen on him online and in the press, I agree. I think he seems like a decent guy. He must be. He follows me on Twitter, so that's good. But yeah, no, he does. And I've not read anything else apart from that one weird hypnotherapy thing, which, all right.
And it was a long time ago. And I mentioned last week, we're all young and stupid once. Christ knows I did that things. Probably.
Exactly. So yeah, let's see what happens. I saw Carla Denier came out today, officially said she was standing down. She wouldn't.
I do like her.
Yeah, she seems all right. Yeah, from what I know of her.
I didn't dig the joint leadership business though.
No, it's a strange one that with the Green Party because it splits the focus. And I think that with my coverage thing that I've been doing, like the research on, it's a bit like Kemi Badenoch never has had a deputy because, well, why would she? She doesn't need one. It's just all about her. She's never had a deputy leader, and the Tories has been she's been leader. But then the Greens have gone the other way, and they've got two, so it doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. So when I do a search, I have to search for Denier and Ramsey, and it is just splits their focus, I think. So, but I like Zach Polanski. I think he's got a good shout for becoming the next leader, and moving them on a bit. I hope he does.
Yeah, I mean, look, like I saw him being interviewed yesterday, and I think he said that they're not trying to win the next election because they know they can't. They're trying to, make the party bigger and better and stronger. And if that's their only challenge, they've got a very different purview of the situation to the other three parties, I suppose.
Yeah.
At least he's being realistic and not being fucking mental like Reform.
Yeah.
He's got his feet on the ground of actual reality and tangibility. And he knows what he can and can't do. But I think they're going to be a threat. And good.
The Greens should be, yeah. Yeah, I agree, definitely. They had a good local elections as well, and they're now, where are we? So Reform have 807 council seats. The Greens have 850, not that you'd know it from the press,
Jesus, that's criminal. The press bit of it.
Yeah, exactly. It's just mad,
I mean,
isn't
it was... But then all Starmer's got to do is bring in press reform. But that would be shitting on his own doorstep, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. But the Greens are the fourth largest party in local grassroots kind of politics. Labour, Tories, Lib Dems, then the Greens, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 down the list is Reform. But
do you know what? If I thought the support was available, I'd stand to become a councillor for the Greens.
Would you?
Even though I don't hold with the system, but I think I'd hold with their version of the system, if you know what I mean. And there's only one way to move the Overton window, isn't there?
Well, yeah, true.
But but I've never been part of a political party in my life before, and at some point recently I joined the Greens. I can't remember what it was a reaction to, but I just thought there's literally nobody else talking my language.
They did really well around here. Our little village area didn't. I voted for our Green councillor, but she came a close second. Actually, she was really close to the Labour guy who's been in for quite a long time. He's quite well respected. He's a decent enough guy for local politics. But our wider kind of local area pretty much all went Green. They did brilliantly around here. So, yeah, I hope the momentum carries on. And I think, like you said, if Zach Polanski takes over and has less of a, well, I mean, I don't think they ever thought they were going to be in government, but has more pragmatic views on their aims, then good on them. I'm fully behind them. I really am. So
he's got a human view on things, hasn't he? Which is
I think
very much lacking.
Yeah, it's very much sort of chalk and cheese to reforms, anti-climate, anti-science, kind of Richard Tice constantly wanging on about net stupid zero, as he calls it, and that needs to be shut down as fast as humanly possible, really. So
isn't he actually invested in solar?
Yeah. As far as we talked about this before. He's got solar in all of his properties that he owns.
So
and drives a Tesla.
Pick a lane, dickhead.
Yeah, I know.
It just proves what a nonsense it all is.
Yeah, exactly. Just a game. Performative politics, as Keir Starmer said about 8 times in his press conference earlier about the trade deal. So, yeah.
My, how he projects.
Yes. See, I've been called a Labour stooge about 150 times again this week. Nobody's listening to the podcast if they think that. Yeah, I put something out the other day about the trade deal, and I said, fair play. It's a reasonable deal, But no, you're a Labour stooge. You're a Labour stooge. You can't unless you're saying pro reform, pro far right, then you're a Labour stooge. A far lefty. Am I? Definitely not that. I don't think. But it's crazy.
It's almost like these foreign bot farmers can't actually pick and choose who's what.
Oh, the difference, yeah, exactly.
Because they don't have the knowledge to do it. Because they are bot farmers.
Absolutely right. So, right, let's leave reform if we can. I bet coming back to them because they're just bloody annoying and they're just so pervasive and ubiquitous at the moment. It's just hard to get away from them. But
I think I can segue from tin pot MAGA to actual MAGA.
Oh yeah, let's.
Who have had a bit of a thorn in their side this week because Anonymous, who've been threatening the Trump administration pretty much since they came into power.
Yeah.
They've been threatening them because the Trump administration are completely ignoring the Supreme Court and all the judicial rulings against them, telling them to stop removing people from the country, and they're carrying on regardless. So Anonymous have gone in and they've hacked a company called Global X, who is the flight provider to remove the migrants from America to Venezuela and I want to say El Paso. Is it El Paso?
El Salvador. I just made
that up. El Salvador. Christ. Yeah.
El Paso's in Mexico.
Got Mexican food. Got Mexican food on the brain.
Oh, yeah. That's what he says. Yeah.
Old El Paso. Yeah. But so they've hacked Global X and they've interfered greatly in they haven't been able to function basically.
Well,
so
that's a good
what
thing.
The upshot will be from that, I don't know. They might just change carriers, but it means hopefully, because the government haven't been producing any manifests of who they've actually removed from the country, but these people should have been, hopefully the hackers have been able to download it so that people at least be able to know who's there and who's not.
Yeah. Well, that sounds good.
It's insane that this is where we're at. It's we're in Black Mirror territory. We are just there. I blame Charlie Brooker for all of this.
Yeah, bastard Brooker. No, but it's Nazi playbook. I've got this fascination with history, and I like watching stuff about the war, and it's interesting from psychological points of view of how things happened. And you can almost tick box everything that Trump has done, Project 2025 has done, to what the Nazis did in the 1930s and the way they've gone about things. It's almost identical. And
he's got the same Messiah complex, hasn't he?
He has. But that should scare the shit out of people. Like, that's what they're trying.
Yeah.
The Pope's American. The new Pope is an American cardinal. Sorry, breaking news again. That's twice in a week. Twice in 2 weeks we've had breaking news. Cardinal Prevost elected as new Pope, American cardinal. Oh, that's interesting.
Apparently,
They said yesterday that would never happen. I wonder if
Robert Prevost.
Pope's had a word. Trump's had a word. I mean,
Oh,
he wanted to be Pope, didn't he?
we'll soon find out. Oh, I cannot believe segue again.
Yeah.
How? And again, it's weird because I don't have a dog in any of the fight, but to put yourself as the Pope in an AI picture while the Catholic Church is still in mourning is the height of disrespect.
Was.
And nobody said anything about it.
Some people said some stuff, but pretty much it was left to go past. Yeah, it was really, 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 really weird.
Oh, Pope Leo. That was my dad's name.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, no, I saw that. It was very, very strange, that Pope thing. And then on May the 4th, he put a picture out of himself. Do you see the one with his lightsaber, Star Wars lightsaber? Lots of people pointed out that he had a red lightsaber, which is the baddies in Star Wars.
Yeah, Sith.
Sith Lords, yeah, exactly.
This is the Emperor's new clothes in real life.
Oh, 100% it is, yeah.
And everyone, I just don't get it. Well, no. I do. It's about power and money, isn't it? And it's mental illness.
Yeah, it is. It's a bit like when we were going through Brexit, though, isn't it? If you're in America right now, and I have lots of American people I'm in contact with, and they're a bit like powerless. They know what's going on around them.
Yeah.
But there's nothing they can do, and they just have to kind of wait and see how it happens. And that's what we were exactly like during Brexit. Like, we were like, oh, well, fucking
I'll tell you what it's like. I'll tell you what it's like. Who did I hear talking about Gaza? And somebody was saying that they can't legally define what's going on in Gaza as a genocide until after it's finished happening.
Oh, that's just fucking bollocks.
What the fuck are you talking about? Stop it now.
They're on a technicality that it's not a genocide. That's bullshit.
But it's the same sort of thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
We need to just put the brakes on fucking now.
Yeah.
I don't know what we have to do, but this is, yeah.
But then you've got people that played out this afternoon with the trade deal. Well, an inverted commas trade deal, because it's a bit of a weird one. It's not really
a fucking deal. Nonsense.
No, exactly. And Starmer's there
playing the game.
Yeah, exactly. And I get it to a point that you have to do that, but you don't have to do it to the extent that they're doing, because he's like, well, we've gone down to 10% tariffs on cars and what have you, but that's still way more than we were 6 months ago. None of this would have was happening 6 months ago. If you just waited it out, I bet he wouldn't have done it. He has to back down at some point, Trump, because it's just nonsense, everything that he's doing. So,
I mean, Starmer was like, we've got an excellent 0% tariff on steel. How much steel do we export to America? I reckon America's probably got its own steelworks, or they buy it from China. I don't know. I'm hypothesizing. But still, how many steelworks are even left?
Excuse me. No, it's not big.
To the best of my knowledge, at least one of them's been on hiatus because they shut the ovens down.
Yeah, that's right.
Not very up on it.
Well, we talked about it. I think we talked about steel in week 1, but I had the figures then, but I can't remember them now. But yeah, and the same goes with the cars. Like, it's limited to 100,000 cars or something. There's nothing really concrete that's been thrashed out, and they're both touting it as this incredible trade deal. But according to Simon Marks on LBC, he said that Trump has called it a maxed out trade deal. That's it. But in order for that to be true, it would have had to gone past Congress, and it hasn't.
They're just words that he says.
Yeah, he says
he don't mean anything.
No, exactly. But that's every single situation Trump's ever in. Is he just talks to the people that are there in the room without any thought of what's going on around him or any thought of the ramifications afterwards. It's just an instant reaction to whoever's there at the time. He says what he wants them to hear, and then he'll change his mind tomorrow with everything he ever says. It's crazy. It's just, it's lunacy. It's just mad.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know what they can. I don't know where it goes in America, but I think when Q2 comes through and they go into recession, things might start to change a little bit, because he's already dropped 0.3% of GDP fell in the first quarter of the year, which he said, well, that's nothing to do with me, that's Biden. Well, it isn't. But when the second quarter data comes through for the economy and it drops again, then he has to start facing up to it, and that's when things. So maybe around June time.
Well, he started replacing the generals, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So he's clearly trying to protect himself against a military coup.
Yeah,
I would assume that's what that is. So if he thinks that a military coup might be on the horizon, America needs to get its shit together.
Yeah.
Because if he's got control of the army, he's mental, man. He's absolutely mental.
Well, he had in the White House last week, he had Enrico Tarrio, who's the leader of the Proud Boys. You know them?
Oh, God.
And he was in jail for the January 6th thing and got pardoned and let out. He's a terrorist. And he was in the White House talking to Trump.
One of the January 6ers who got released got pissed and ran over a woman and killed her.
Yeah, I saw that. I think several of them have been shot dead by police because they're criminals.
Many of them have been found to be paedophiles.
Yeah, paedophiles as well. Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
We need to start taking predatory mental illness fucking seriously as a planet.
I agree fully.
This is what's killing us.
We
have a rogue element of greedy, sick bastards.
Yeah, I know. It's mad. It is mad. So, yeah, America. Good luck. All the sensible people and the sane people are kind of got everything crossed that it all works out there, but well, we have to wait and see.
Weird thing is, though, as we were talking about before, everything's connected, isn't it? So I was just looking at the Pope and wondering if he was a Z person. And then thinking about Trump, well, he's not as oh no, he actually massively is technically a Z person. And if that conflict ends, or when that conflict ends, it's going to be a very now it all makes sense.
Yeah.
Because Netanyahu's going to go to prison when that conflict ends.
Yeah.
And Netanyahu's the one that's got the dirt on Trump, which is what's the catalyst underneath all of this insanity.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, God.
Well,
it's really bad.
That. I mean, it's been talked about since the whole thing kicked off last year that Netanyahu's doing this to stay out of prison. And
the documentary's amazing, the BB Files.
Yeah.
I mean, terrible, amazing, but my God, these people are sick.
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't mean like, they're sick. I mean, they are psychopaths who cannot be cured, and they need to be sectioned and locked away forever.
Yeah, I mentioned before on one of the other episodes about the Origin Stories podcast. Oh, there's a cat. Which is Ian Dunn and Dorian Linsky's really good podcast, and they did a two-parter on Netanyahu and his upbringing, and it's fascinating, and I would highly recommend anyone go and have a listen to that if you don't know anything about him, because he's a dark, strange character, and like
he's awful.
Something he's doing this to keep out of jail. Listen to the podcast and do some reading on him, because he's an evil man, and he's very evil man.
And his wife's no better.
I don't know about his wife.
Sarah, she's watch the BB Files on. I'm sure they're on Netflix.
Right.
Yeah. Terrible, terrible people. But ironically, I also saw. I meant to have more information on this, but not that it really matters. I saw a tweet this week saying that the UK is second from bottom in countries of the world that are fucking most depressing or quality of life shittest, basically. And surprise, surprise, we're like nearly at the bottom.
Yeah.
Israel was second. Israel treats its own citizens like royalty.
Yeah.
Even the sick and disabled ones.
Right.
What the fuck is that about?
Yeah, that's not right, is it?
It's so confusing.
Oh God,
None of it makes any sense.
No, that's strange.
Yeah, so I find it very important to counteract all the doom and gloom with things that make me feel better about the world when I find like good people and stuff. And there's an account on Instagram I follow, a guy called Derek Downey Jr., who is just an absolute joy. His content is brilliant. In a nutshell, excuse the pun, he's basically a squirrel whisperer. And to anyone who's got this on audio only, bear with us because obviously it's better watching it in video. But when you hear him talk about Richard and Maxine and Hood Rat Raymond, they're the names of squirrels. Roll clip.
I remember what happened the last time a tree was trimmed in my neighborhood. Well, y'all, me and Maxine had a long weekend. Let me tell you what happened. So I saw this sign on this post outside of my street saying that, the city was coming to trim all the trees on the street. I said, Lord Jesus. So this is what I did. That's Richard. That's Hood Rat Raymond. I went and documented all the nests in the trees on my street before they came. So there's one right here, there, and another one right next to it. There go another one. There go the other one. They're building the nest right there.
And I'll put a link to it as well. I'll put the clip in for the video and the audio, but I'll put a link down the bottom. So
did you watch it?
Yeah, I did. It's really good. Yeah. So nice bit of joyful kind of content, isn't it? It's not, like you said, it is important.
Life affirming.
Yeah, it's really important to not get bogged down in like continual fucking just shit that goes on in politics.
Oh, it's crucial.
Yeah, exactly. So like my Instagram's highly like curated. Like I have it locked down. There's no politics on my Instagram. It's purely comedy sketches and rap music. I think that's pretty much all my Instagram is, and it's a brilliant way just to chill for me, to just laugh and listen to good music and stuff. And it's really important, like you said. So yeah, we'll link into that Instagram video. It's really, really good. Well worth watching. Cool. So where are we? What have we got? You got anything else?
I'm done. No,
I've got one more thing. Main thing really, but that's about it. And that was the Indian trade deal that was announced by Keir Starmer. One of two this week. He's on a trade roll. Yeah, raised eyebrows indeed. But I don't really want to talk about the trade deal as such. It's just, I mean, it's all right. Yeah, it's fine. It's $5 billion. It's a decent enough trade deal. It's been worked on for several years under the Tories, and really, go on.
I find, sorry, just apropos, well, not apropos nothing, but I find it quite interesting that we've only just signed a trade deal with India, having worked on it for years, when Sunak's father-in-law is literally Modi's best mate.
That's true. Yeah.
So what the fuck?
Well, this kind of leads me into what happened when it was announced, and it was a bit like when Reform. I said I wouldn't mention them, but when Reform won like their meager amount of seats last week, and it appeared as though they'd won. What's the America's Cup of Sailing? The avalanche of right-wing accounts on Twitter, particularly, was frightening. It came out, I think, about lunchtime, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. It was announced, the trade deal, and the main thing that was announced that was interesting to people was that there was a national insurance arrangement that meant that workers from India that came here on secondment didn't have to contribute national insurance. because they're already doing it in India. So it was to avoid double taxation. Completely and utterly standard arrangement that the UK has with many other countries, I think up to about 50. Pardon me. Including America. But it's India, so because these people have brown skin, is my guess, the right went into a frothing meltdown. Like a frothing, just, I've never seen anything like it. How dare they? This is undercutting British workers. This is going to be the death of British industry, blah, blah, blah. And every single person on Twitter that is right-leaning went for it within an hour, to the point where we had Kemi Badenoch and Suella Braverman both putting tweets out to say how bad this was, and that they had both blocked this deal whilst in government. So they were basically trying to outdo each other as to who blocked it previously. So that goes back to what you said about Sunak, because they were working under Sunak at that point. And apparently Braverman blocked it, and apparently Badenoch blocked it. They both put tweets out to say that. So they're both lying as far as I can see.
So they both had the power to block a prime minister's trade deal.
Well, yeah, exactly. They didn't, did they? It was
Okay.
a lie.
Okay.
So the deal went up, and it was pretty self-explanatory. As I said before, it's just a standard arrangement. The 3-year arrangement is just because it's a big trade deal, nothing else. And there are other countries that have 3 years for secondments, and it's just to avoid double taxation. But it wasn't being accepted by anybody at all. And so obviously Farage again came out, and I've never seen a social media avalanche happen so quickly about something that was based on a complete lie. Every single part of what they were saying was nonsense. And it was easily disprovable nonsense. And Robert Jenrick obviously was on it. You know, the culture warrior. He was out there instantly talking about it. And then they were forced, well, I listened to LBC a lot, and so I frame a lot of things around what I listen to on LBC. So I was listening to Tom Swarbrick in the afternoon, who used to be kind of good at presenting. If anyone doesn't know,
He's hit and miss.
Well, he was he's a Tory. He was Theresa May's communications advisor when she was in Prime Minister. But when he had his late night show, he used to be kind of very pro-science, and he'd talk a lot about scientific inventions and different things like that. But since he's moved to the afternoon slot, he basically seems to be trying to outdo Nick Ferrari in the morning, and he's becoming really reactive and trying to reinvent himself into this shock jock.
I've been trying to get myself to listen to LBC more, mostly so that we can chat about it on here, but I don't want to do it to myself.
No.
I'd be constantly trying to ring in 3 times a day.
I've never rung in. I never have. I've tweeted, and Tom Swarbrick has replied to me and said, "You're talking rubbish." But he went off on this Indian trade deal, and he was giddy. He was so excitable. He was like, "Oh my god, this is." He kept saying things like, "It's going to be catastrophic," and then he said, "It's all kicking off in Westminster," and then he signed off one of his segments with, "Nigel Farage is going to have a field day with this one." You're like, what? Reform mouthpiece, stop it. He just went mad. And he had on Barry Gardiner, who was on the phone, and explained calmly to Tom Swarbrick that this is just a normal trade deal. Basically, he said there's nothing to worry about. This is standard. This is just a normal deal. Then he had a trade expert on who told him exactly the same thing. He said, this is just normal. It's just a secondment. They just don't want to pay tax twice, once in India, once here. That's completely standard arrangement for lots of deals we have with other countries. But then, of course, Mr. Swarbrick doesn't accept this at all. That he just goes on and on and on and has callers calling, and he takes the callers over the experts, and the callers saying, "All right, it's Barry from Essex. This is going to be a disaster." He's like, "Yeah, I know it's going to be a disaster, isn't it, Barry?" And then Like, wow, I had to turn it off in the end because it was unbearable.
So it's
And
like
then
real life exploding heads.
it really was, yeah, completely
Colin
like
from
that.
Portsmouth.
Yeah, I mean, that's what he's based on, isn't it? But it was like that.
I don't want to trade him.
Exactly. But it was just because they're Indian, nothing more.
Oh,
And
it's
insane. I can't get my head around. And then none of them apologized the next day when they realized that they'd been talking out their arse. And even Farage came
They
on the
don't
breakfast.
care. You see, we've discussed this before. To them, it is just a game.
Yeah, it is.
It is just the likes of Tom Swarbrick. He puts his little job hat on, and he gets paid a salary to be able to behave like this, and that's fine because he's doing it on somebody else's behalf. It's not really him.
No. Yeah. Yeah, because he used to be fairly sensible and level-headed, and now he's gone off the deep end and becoming, as I said, I think he's gunning for Nick Ferrari's job in the morning, to the blood pressure raiser first thing in the morning.
Journalism seems to have turned into the cash for cuntistry industry.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. There's very few.
I can think of one journalist, Peter Oborne.
Yeah, he's good.
Is a journalist that I would implicitly trust.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because I briefly knew him for a little bit, and
okay,
what a stand-up guy. And literally, I've seen nothing from him that's ever been a lie.
Yeah.
Can't think of anybody else I can say that about.
No. I do
Carol
like
Cadwallader, but
Carol. Yeah, the Byline Times crew generally seem to
be. Yeah, but they're not mainstream MSM, are they?
No, they're not. No, unfortunately, they should be, but no.
But MSM's just a propaganda machine.
It is
entirely.
As you say, it's just cash for clicks and outrage.
Cash for integrity. Or lack thereof.
Yeah, they just want money. They just want reactions. Every time someone clicks on their Twitter, social media, or their Instagrams or their TikToks, they're getting some money out of it, aren't they? So that's all they need. Outrage farming.
For me, the ground zero, and I can't abide the man, is Jeremy Vine.
Yeah.
His show. And don't get me wrong, I know like Femi and Gemma and Marina go on it, and they need to go on it, and they need to try and educate people.
Mm-hmm.
But that entire premise of that show is just rage baiting. It's disgusting. And it contributes to keeping the public on edge and angry.
Mm.
It validates racism.
Yeah.
Because if they're talking about my point of view on a TV show, therefore it's a standard decent point of view. Mm-hmm. Except it's not, is it?
Yeah.
We've just allowed society to become disgusting and despicable.
Yeah.
Because it makes money.
Well, the logical endpoint of that is GB News.
Well, yeah.
And that's exactly what's happened. It's that one half of the debate from Jeremy Vine, the dickhead half, has got its own news channel now. And that's, it's just, but unchallenged almost. I mean,
like Curtis Daly and Anthony Walker from Navarra go on GB News quite a bit, and Aaron Bastani. I still can't watch it because, it's bollocks.
Yeah.
But so they do have the opposing side on, lefties, to sort of argue with them, but
I've seen Matthew
I
Stadler's
don't
on a
know.
bit. But yeah, no.
Yeah.
That's the minority though, isn't it? With
but they just I don't know what the point is, because even if like you explain to them how and why the sky is blue, they'll all still sit there and go, well, no, it's not, it's tartan, isn't it? So I don't know what the point is.
Like talking to my son at the moment
these days.
Sorry? I said it's like talking to my son at the moment. He's in a bit of an argumentative phase. I could say the sky was blue and he'll say it's black.
Yeah, well, if he's anything like mine, you'll have that for a while to come, yeah.
I'm hoping it's a short phase, but I'm hoping it's because he's got SATs next week, and then SATs pass.
Oh, bless him.
We'll see. He's not normally like it. I think he's just having a bit of a growth spurt and being a bit of a. I'm not going to swear about my son on the podcast.
He's at a precious age, though, isn't he? My son, here you go. We're going to moan about kids. My son only comes round at the weekend because he works up near his dad's house where he lives in the week.
Right.
I went upstairs with my friend earlier because I want to investigate decorating his bedroom.
Yeah.
Opened the door. And I've never been hit by a smell of feet like it in my life. And he's only there at the weekend.
Oh no.
So I'm going to go in there. I have to go in there with some tongs and a bucket for whatever needs to be thrown in the washing machine without any fingers.
You get a welding mask on. Yeah.
Oh. 19?
Sorry?
19?
Yeah.
I don't think it's ever going to end.
Teenagers. I've got that joy still to come. Not long now for him, for me. Teenage years. Anyway, that was a digression. Sorry, I'm desperately scrolling my Twitter feed. Oh, there he is. No, that's not it. I had a bit of a contretemps with Dan Hodges on Twitter yesterday.
Oh, good for you.
Dan
what was
Hodges.
That bastard saying?
Well, that's one. Well, Dan Hodges. Over the last 6 months or so, kept surprising people.
He's hit and miss.
Yeah, exactly. And he put out stuff and you go, wow, yeah, well done, Dan. You've got that dead on. Perfect. And I'd say that to him. So, yeah, no, I agree. But then he's regressed back into his Daily Mail shell recently and he's gone full on batshit right wing again.
I see him as either, your mum would be dead proud of you, or your mother would be turning in her urn.
Yeah, absolutely right. I can't find it. It doesn't matter. Yeah, he's a strange one, Dan Hodges.
What was it about?
Good question. It was about. He was basically saying, "Oh, reform. If anyone who thinks reform aren't a big deal, needs to take a step back and think again because they're the next big thing." So he seems to be kind of falling in behind the rest of them and blowing smoke up Nigel Farage's arse bandwagon. He seems to have jumped on that, and I just said no. I said, you know as well as I do, Dan, that Reform are never going to win a general election in 4 years' time. It's not serious. They might get a few more seats, but there's absolutely no way they can go from 5 MPs to 300.
Winning a general election.
Exactly. It's not a serious thing for people to say. And he replied and he said something along the lines of, well, I don't even know what he was saying because I can't remember. But it was a kind of one-sentence reply that was like, well, we'll wait and see kind of thing. But nobody seriously in politics thinks that Nigel Farage is going to be the next PM apart from, well,
Nigel Farage.
And his subscribers, yeah.
So, and the only possible way he could become PM is by defecting to the Tories or doing this deal they're talking about. And I don't know how legal that would be.
I don't think that'll happen. I think, this is a funny one, but I've got Boris Johnson coming back for the Tories. I know. I said it last year.
PTSD can't cope with it.
I said it last year, and I've seen him.
Stop saying it.
Sorry. I just keep saying it more and more. And he had an interview on telly the other day. He's on manoeuvres. I can see it. There's something happening.
No, he's not. He might be sniffing around, but no. And I can't imagine a bigger kiss of death for the Tory party than to go into a general election with the fucking poisonous honey monster who's just destroyed our country. Seriously.
Well, I know.
Do I trust the British public? Also, fuck no.
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, let's keep everything crossed.
You see, this whole talking about things makes them real is what MAGA do, is what Farage does. So let's not do that.
Let's not manifest it.
Things.
Yeah, fine.
No, that's the word. Yeah.
Yeah, let's not manifest.
No.
Honey monster. Yeah.
Manifest him into a ditch.
Yeah, let's. He got bitten by an ostrich the other week. That was quite amusing.
Yeah. I've got to pick one of my favourite pictures of me, not only because it's funny. When Will was about 12 months old, we went to the South Lake Zoo. If you've never been down in Barrow and Furness, go. It's amazing. No. It's a really good zoo. There's a picture of me trying to feed, because you get to go in an enclosure with all lemurs and ostriches and kangaroos and just all running free. And you can feed the ostriches. And there was one, like, literally, thank God I had leather gloves on because it was January, but it was like proper trying to eat my whole hand. So, yeah, it was funny for me before it was funny for him.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't got much else. I mean, we saw the US trade deal. We talked about it briefly. It's just I think that'll play out over the next few days. I don't think it is what they're touting it to be. We'll find out, but it doesn't seem that significant, really.
It's just listening to the words they were saying in the White House.
Yeah.
And you're like, you're talking about a circumstance that's come about because you said some mental words a few weeks ago. Let's not pretend you're dealing with splitting the fucking atom here.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what they all seem to put Trump up on, that level of kind of he is
mental.
The god.
Nothing else.
That they all worship.
But the appeasement is just killing everyone.
Yeah, it is. I heard Biden was interviewed by Nick Robinson the other day, Joe Biden, and he was really interesting. He's such an interesting man anyway, and he's a bit slower than he used to be, but what he's got to say is still very worthwhile. And he was talking about appeasement, but the appeasement of Russia. And he was asked if what Trump is doing is appeasement, like what Neville Chamberlain did to Hitler. And Biden said, yeah, of course it is. It's the same.
I think it's fair.
Yeah.
Because Putin's part of the whole Israel triangle, isn't
he? He is. But it's definitely appeasement. Trump's going there with the intention of not upsetting him under any circumstances. So,
which is ironic because that's how everyone has to treat him, because they're all insane.
It is. It kind of drips downwards, but yeah. And the only thing funny I heard about that was Anne-Marie Trevelyan on LBC immediately afterwards taking credit for it. You know, brilliant. Well done, Anne-Marie. Kemi Badenoch and Suella Braverman said they blocked it, and now you're out there taking credit for it, considering you're all working together in the same government. Doesn't really make much sense.
Don't know their R's from their elbow.
Good. I still like it. It works. I think. Have you got anything massive left to do?
No.
I've just got one thing, one thing that I was asked to mention.
Oh, go on.
There's a brilliant account on Twitter called Political Satirical. Their handle is @calloutToryLies, and they're very funny, and they spend a lot of time trolling politicians online. And I asked if anyone wanted to have anything mentioned on the podcast, and they said, so feel free to mention my roasting of Rupert Lowe with the spoof tweet. And they had, I'm not sure when they did it, there's no date on it, I do remember, but they put out spoof tweets. So their tweet was, they'd altered Rupert Lowe's tweet, and it says Reform. So Rupert Lowe, when he was still with Reform, had said, Reform UK are now tackling DEI madness head on. We are challenging Angela Rayner to remove teaching any sign language in the UK, as it doesn't involve speaking English. And obviously it's not real. But it got to the point where it was 153,000 views, thousands and thousands of retweets and stuff, to the point that Full Fact and Reuters put out fact checks on it to say that actually Rupert Lowe wasn't calling for the ending of sign language in UK schools, because it was a fake tweet. But it was a funny fake tweet, and I said I'd mention it, and it is. They're worth a follow on Twitter @calloutToryLies, because they're at it all the time, and it's really funny. And they caught me out a couple of times with their spoof tweets.
Well, do you know what? I've got a feeling, because I saw that and I've got them blocked.
Oh, really?
And I'm quite free with my blockages, because I've just mostly bots, but also if people are just knobheads, I can't be doing. There's loads of people on Twitter. Do you know what I mean? It's not going to cause any offense. And I think I've blocked them because their tweets are just too close to the line for me. And I think I personally feel that we're in an environment where it's too dangerous to do that.
Fair enough.
I think don't get me wrong, I'm not beyond a laugh. I love a laugh, but Florence Locks.
Yeah.
I think she's a great account. She's really funny, because you have to be really dumb to not understand that she's joking. Yeah. But the stuff they say could so easily be accurate, and I personally can't cope with that shit.
Yeah, fair enough.
So yeah, I don't have an issue with them per se. I just think what they're doing is unfair the environment being what it is, I
Right.
think they're far too close to the line for my money. So
Yeah, they are very close to the mark. Well, to this one particularly, to the point where they had Reuters fact checking it, but because it was very, very redolent.
it could be true.
Yeah,
Well, no, I
exactly.
mean,
They could have easily said
Rupert Lowe wanted to ban all interpreters, didn't he?
Yeah, everything.
So
yeah.
that could technically include sign language interpreters.
Yeah. So there we go. I mentioned it as I promised I would. And that's it. That's all I've got, I think, for this week. Unless you've got anything else.
We finished our ramblings, I think.
Yeah, I think
I'll try and have some better content for next week. It's just been a tough one.
Well,
fluey and, you know, absolutely desolate.
Yeah, no, that's fair. But also, like you said earlier, there's been a weird week of just constant, like, background noise.
No news. Yeah.
Very little news actually going on. So, yeah. Very true.
Yeah, we can do a bio on the new Pope next week.
Oh, yeah.
I'm joking.
I know.
That's
Pope Leo the 14th, apparently. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So
they seem happy in Rome. Sorry, go.
As long as some people aren't. No, I was just going to say on that. Shall we close up?
Yeah.
Sorry, Henry's just barked for the first time in about 3 months. Must be
really?
picking up.
Oh, good. Oh, yeah, you went well
Yeah.
with it.
No, yeah. Less said about that, but
Okay.
no, so onwards and upwards. And until next week, signing off. Take care, gang. Bye.
Yeah, ciao. Thanks for coming. See you next week. Bye-bye.